Hi everybody, this is David Nour, and I want to welcome you to another one of these video broadcasts that I do on multiple social media channels. If you've been involved or you've seen any of the previous ones, I'm in the middle of a series I call the 10 Relationship Impact Moments. These are best practices I've observed individuals, teams, and organizations really apply very consistently in their respective business. Whether they're entrepreneurs or frontline contributors or leaders, these attributes, these characteristics, these personal traits I've observed are very consistent in those who identify, build, nurture, and leverage great relationships. Nad, welcome. Glad you're here. By the way, Nad did a phenomenal podcast with me. I can't wait to see it. He's a great interviewer. We covered personal and professional. And we covered a lot of great ground. Mark, glad you're here. Bernie, glad you're here. And you're going to get a kick out of these things. I was recently at one of my kids' Friday night football game, and a mom said, you know, I saw your video and I had no idea what you did, and I watched, and it was actually decent content. So you never know who's going to watch these things. So if you're not doing some sort of a regular broadcast, some sort of regular sharing of ideas, perspectives, I would encourage you to do that. And my style, if you haven't seen any of my content or read any of my stuff, Janine, welcome from UK. I'm a big believer of unique insights, hopefully practical, pragmatic takeaways in sound bites, in not just sound bites, but in bite-sized pieces that people can put to good use. You and I have both heard grandiose ideas and visions and great stuff. If I can't go put it to work, fairly quickly, it becomes intellectual kind of food, and I'll use it at some point. I just like more practical, pragmatic ideas. So very quickly, again, we're in the middle of a series. This is number 7 on the 10 relationship impact moments. Very quick recap. Number 1 was empathy, walk in their shoes. Most people approach a relationship and they're listening just long enough to figure out what they want to say versus where's this person really coming from? What are they struggling with? What the challenges are? 2, engagement. You got to show up, and you got to show up the real you, and you got to be present. I don't know if you've ever met with somebody where they're physically there, but emotionally they're just not engaged. They're somewhere else. Don't be one of those people. I think we have way too many distractions. Turn off the phone for that next meeting or next call. Have you ever been on a call with somebody and you hear the keyboards going? Don't be one of those people. You got to show up, and you got to show up with your best. Number 3, adaptability. Tailor it. Nobody likes to be a one-size-fits-all. I'm working with a really cool startup, and their value proposition for meeting professionals is we'll create a custom solution for your attendees, whether it's an association or a company or academic forum. It's just a very cool opportunity to take a good model and personalize, customize, tailor it, adapt it for them. 4, perspective. Change their lens. Again, I keep using the late Robin Williams in Dead Poet Society, where he asked the students to stand up on a desk so they could see their environment from a different perspective. I love doing that with clients, with prospective clients. We all come to a scenario with very different walks of life, from very different set of experiences. And I love the opportunity that you really change their lens, give them another perspective. 5, conviction. Bring a point of view. Bring something you're passionate about. Bring something, again, Mark Travis is on this call, and I just sent him an email on, talk about things you're passionate about. The guy knows product marketing and product management really well. So build something that not just you think it's cool, but it's got great value to others, and really bring that with conviction. Bring that with a unique point of view. Last week we did collaboration. Stacy, welcome. Glad you're here. Last week we covered collaboration. And I've always believed collaboration for sake of collaboration is a waste of time. Collaboration to make that end result, stronger is priceless. And one of the things, unfortunately, collaboration is one of those overused words right up there with partnership. Let's partner. I always want to ask them, what does that mean exactly? Right? What do you bring, and how am I better off because I'm in a relationship with you? So make sure that collaboration, you really do make it stronger together. Today's topic, number 7, is selflessness. In my experience, particularly the more you work with executives, and most of you have seen this, the higher you go in the organization, the more of a lonelier job it gets. Even a small business owner, right? I got introduced to one. That's not my target audience. That's not who I work with. But this guy I like, and I'm committed to helping him. And as it goes up in the organization, it just becomes more lonely. It just doesn't have anybody to talk to. So we're going to talk a lot about this. In those interactions, particularly in any relationship, the more you reduce your self-interest, the more comfortable they become, the more likely they are to share with you what they're struggling with, what their challenges are, where they could use some help. Number 8, accountability. We'll cover this next time. John Morney, glad you're here. Accountability is all about owning it. Own it. I have 0 clients or 0 relationship that have any interest in finger pointing. They don't care why. And board levels, all the way down to sales managers and even front line, nobody wants to hear why something didn't happen. Figure out how to get it done. And I tell my clients, take the high road, even if it wasn't your fault, right? We apologize, we screwed it up. Here's how we're going to fix it. But nobody likes, again, finger pointing. 9, candor. Say what others won't. Say what others can't. Say what others don't have the fortitude to say. Again, in my experience, the higher you go, the more people are surrounded by yes people. Yes, that's a great idea. Let's go blow $10 million on that harebrained idea, and then wonder why we don't have anything to show for it. So if you build the relationships around candor, and I tell most of my clients, most of the mentees I work with, you're either going to love my candor or you're going to hate my candor. But I'm going to tell you my own perception. You're welcome to ignore it. But here's, I had a coffee visit with the executive yesterday, and I told her, what are you doing to set the tone? Because the behavior you want in other people, you've got to set the tone, right? So that's all about candor. Last but not least, 10 is improvement, up their game. So we have 3 or 4 left in the series. Today's focus, as I said, is going to be on selflessness. And if you've seen any of these previous ones, one of the advantages of not speaking any English when you come to this country is I love looking things up, and I love looking up their definition and their origin. And so selflessness, devoted to others' welfare or interest and not one's own. Think about it a second. When it comes to relationship, devoted to others' welfare or interest and not one's own. Now, this is one of those double-edged swords, right? We're all in business. We all have agendas. Whether you're trying to grow your business or find a job or whatever else is your priority. In my experience, it often may not be the other person's priority. So the relationship you're trying to build, this selflessness that I've observed in what great leaders do, is a lot less about them, a lot more about the other person. I've had, and I know if this has happened to you or not, but I've had coffee visits with people where an hour of it is all about them. Why? Everybody's favorite subject, in my experience, is themselves. And yet they seldom ask, what can I do to help you? How can I be an asset to you? Whether it's my educational background or professional pedigree or where I've been or what I've done, how can I help you? Tell me about what your priorities are. Tell me what you're struggling with. And if you reduce, I know you're looking for a job. I know you're trying to grow your business. I know you're trying to manage your project. I know you're trying to raise money. All those things I get. But if you really want to build and nurture a meaningful relationship, you can't start with all that. I'm a really good consultant. I'm a really good speaker. I'm a great coach. You should hire me. Have you met people who wear their eagerness on their sleeve? Have you seen what a good job I'm doing? I'm doing a fantastic job, by the way. And that just turns more people off. And if they're not saying it, they're certainly thinking it. So I found a great article in the Washington Post by Colonel Eric Kale, who, just listen to this second, Army Field Artillery officer who commanded at the company and battalion level. He's a course director of military leadership at the U.S. Military Academy in West Point and has a PhD in organizational psychology. Right? So what I read, this again, you can look it up, Washington Post, Colonel Eric Kale. He talked about how we've all had leaders who are just in love with their own image in the mirror, right? And their way of not only being center of attention, but commanding their presence is by kind of all talk and no listen. And it's about them and their agenda and what they try to push onto others versus what can I learn, what can I hear, how do I really get to know this person? And he talks about selflessness is all about strength, right? And real strength is measured by what we enable our followers to accomplish through our service to them, not by the pressure of our grip and the weight of our demands. Think about it a second. Real strength is measured by what we enable our followers to accomplish through our service to them, not by the pressure of our grip and the weight of our demands. Right? So again, when it comes to relationships, both the relationships you have, let's start with the ones you have, and the ones you want. How are you approaching that next conversation? How are you approaching next call? How are you approaching next coffee? How are you approaching the next meeting? With that real, not authentic. I think most people have a BS radar, and they're going to see right through that. But with that real authentic sense of selflessness. And I've got to tell you, one of my mentors over the years, great guy named Bruce, he tells a story of, and we were working on a charity board together. And Bruce gets a meeting with an executive at Coca-Cola, right? Think of Mahogany Row, 50th floor. They have their own restaurants up there. I mean, just the guy, right? And this guy apparently was involved with the Coke Foundation, and he could really impact the charity we're after. So Bruce is there to talk about the charity, and the Coke executive says, well, tell me a little about what you do for a living. Right? Very logical question. What would most of us do? Well, let me tell you, we just go right into all that's great about me. You want to hear about Bruce's wisdom? He says, well, that's not important right now. Let me tell you about this great cause, and we can talk about what I do some other time. The guy runs a business that he's trying to grow and build, but he fundamentally understands that that particular interaction is about the charity. It's about the cause. It's about doing good for others. It's about being selfless, right? Unselfish in that scenario. Again, lowering your self-interest so you can focus on the real priorities. What do you think would have happened if Bruce had jumped in? Let me tell you about my company. Let me tell you about our services. We could do this, that. I think most of you agree that executive would have not just disengaged, but Bruce would have diluted his credibility. And that's something that I don't want for you, is in that next coffee or that next meeting or that next call, dilute your credibility, dilute how people perceive you. So selflessness is about not completely abdicating, but reducing your self-interest to really focus on the relationship, to focus on really thinking about what's in it for them. And Lisa, reframing works, absolutely. And reframing, let's focus on what matters to you. Let's focus on what's important to you. Let's focus on how I can be an asset to your efforts. I've always said there's 3 fundamental laws in relationships, right? Number 1 is gratitude. You do something for somebody, they better say thank you. Number 2 is reciprocity. Maybe not today, tomorrow, next week, or next month, but you do something for somebody, and at some point they should not only say thank you, but they should ask, that's very kind of you. I appreciate that introduction. I appreciate you sending me that article. I appreciate your time. What can I do to help you? How can I be an asset to you? Thanks, gratitude. Reciprocity, how can I help? How can I be an asset? The third one is pay it forward. In some ways, figuring out how to help others. If I coach and mentor you, I'm hoping you'll take some of those same ideas and coach and mentor somebody else. None of us are born with any of this. And selflessness, when it comes to relationships, dramatically reduces the walls other people put up. So here's 3 things I want you to think about. Again, in advance of the next call, the next coffee meeting, the next visit. Number 1, do a ton of homework. Do a ton of due diligence. I still meet with people that, believe it or not, who try to wing it. Right? So, David, what do you do? Well, crap, you don't have access to the internet. You can't get online and read or watch any of my videos or read any of the stuff I've written. Right? So do your due diligence. Do your homework before that call, before that meeting. With Google, there's very few places for any of us to hide. Right? If you can't find them online, talk to people that may know them. Hey, what can you tell me about Mike? What can you tell me about Susie? So do your due diligence and actually carve out, I don't know about you, if I don't put it on my calendar, it doesn't get done. So carve out time to really do some of that due diligence. Number 2, show up with 3 to 5 intelligent, engaging questions about them. Intelligent, engaging questions about them. Hey, listen, I read this thing about your blog. Can you tell me a little more about this? Oh, that's interesting. How did you do that? I just read, or did I hear that you just wrote your whatever book? How did you do? I just understand you came off that project. How did that, right? Intelligent, engaging, because what happens, you convey your credibility to the questions you ask. And the third one is make the focal point. if you're taking a picture, focus the lens, the center of that lens, about not just where they are, but where they're trying to get to. What are their aspirations? What are they aiming for? What are their reach? What are they trying to accomplish? Because I can figure out where they've been from their website and everything I've read about them and the videos and projects, and I can talk to other people about where they've been. What you really want in that relationship is hope. What you want is strength. What you want is this understanding of where they're trying to get to and how you can be an asset, how you can be an enabler, how you can bolster their efforts to get there. So I hope this has been useful to you. Again, this series is called 10 Relationship Impact Moments. You can find the image on my blog, and you can, again, I've written a bunch from videos to blog posts to social media stuff. If you want to learn more, just Nour Group, Nour Group.com/blog is probably the best way to see my content. We also have a number of position papers and infographics on the website. And I try to do these videos every Tuesday at 1 o'clock Eastern. So thanks for coming. Thanks for being here. Hopefully this was of interest and value, and I hope you come back. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for all that came. Take care, everybody. All the best. Bye-bye.